Hi, welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast, episode 139. And I'm on with Alix Popham, and he is a former Wales national team rugby player and co-founder of the UK charity Head for Change, which he will talk about when I finish doing the little spiel at the beginning here. First, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Headshake Health. Headshake Health bridges gaps in concussion care through simple, powerful technology. Join organizations like the Canadian Football League, Track Factory Racing, the Canadian Junior Hockey League, Eastern Washington University, and Volleyball Canada. Rely on Headcheck to improve communication and optimize care. Visit headshakehealth.com for more. And as always, please follow me on anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, YouTube, right? Apple Podcast, obviously, and anywhere else if you want to look for them. My website is concussionstop.com, and my store is there. You can buy which is my new uniform now for these podcasts. But now I will start talking to Alix. And thank you so much for being here. And I guess first we'll start off actually with that. We'll get to your story in a second. But first, to hear about Head for Change. What is Head for Change, and who is it for?
Thank you first for having me on, and we've been trying to arrange this for a few weeks, and we've managed to tie down both our diaries. So Head for Change was born because after my diagnosis in April 2020, we soon realized there wasn't much support for a 40-year-old and the family for information, care and support. We got introduced to an amazing woman called Dr. Judith Gates, whose husband, Bill Gates, not the Bill Gates with Microsoft, Bill Gates, ex Middlesbrough footballer, who had been and is struggling, and she was just a great help and somebody that we could lean on how do we tell two teenage daughters of my diagnosis, and just lots of questions that we had floating around our head. We went to Judith, and we soon realized that we needed to set and wanted to set up something to help us learn on the job, but also help other families who were going through the same situation as us and Judith.
Right. So actually, I guess your diagnosis, it seems kind of cryptic. So let's hear. Can we? Because I read a bit about the cycling. You first realized there's cycling to around the town you're from, but just talk about just you're just from basically from the start. So your playing career, and then your realization that something was off, and then your diagnosis, which is long.
Okay. Well, I started playing rugby at the age of 4. At that time, contact was allowed at the age of 4. Rugby was my life, and played in a very successful team all through my junior school days, and then signed a professional contract at 18. I had a 14-year professional career playing for Wales on 33 occasions in 2 World Cups, and was a Grand Slam winner, and finished playing at the age of 31 when I snapped my tricep and popped my shoulder. And then it was most probably sometime in 2019 that I started noticing my memory, conversations I was having with people. I would really struggle with when I was in a board meeting or dinner party with lots of people talking. I couldn't take in the information, and I was putting it down to making excuses, putting it down to stress and things like that. And my wife Mel was trying to get me to go to the doctors, and it was only on a bike ride in September 2019, and it's a loop I've done from my house many times, that I got lost, and it was quite a scary moment.
Yeah.
And rung my wife, and she said, "Look, cycle back the way you came." And I come back, and she could see I was upset. And the following day, booked in to see my doctor, who then started off most probably 6 to 9 months of different tests and scans, and had my diagnosis of probable CTE and early onset dementia in April 2020. And yeah, I think we were at a crossroads then, as well, I was as a family. Do we turn left and sit on the couch and do nothing about this, or do we turn right? And the type of people we are, we're half full type people and positive people, and want to make a difference. And who knows what the future holds? And I'm trying everything at the moment to help the situation, and some things have definitely showing an improvement for me and a few of the other players. So we turned right, and we went and wanted to make a difference in our lives, and to, unfortunately, the hundreds of ex-players in rugby who were struggling.
Right. So you were I guess 40 then in 2019, 2019
Yeah,
when
yeah, I
you
was
first, because we're about the same ages. I'm 42. You're 40, 43. I read. Are you
yeah,
still
40.
sorry,
Yeah.
based on whatever it was? But so you're just 40, and you were second just going for a normal leisurely ride. You went every day, and you started noticing that you were.
Yeah, well, I got to a play, and I just had this blackout moment that didn't recognize the next turning to take, and I was carried on cycling, and it just seemed, yeah, like almost an out of body experience, that I didn't know where I was, and yeah, just pulled up on the side and took 5 minutes to calm down, and then I rang my wife.
Well,
So yeah, just what
so
lost, lost.
just a scary kind of mind. You felt like your mind was blank then kind of experience. It was kind of out of body, as you said. So it's just
Yeah,
really scary.
yeah, exactly that, and yeah, just ended up get coming home, and after the call, and yeah, realized quickly that with my wife, most probably for 3 or 4 months prior to that, trying to get me to go to the doctors, I finally gave in and went.
So when you were playing rugby back in, well, until 2011, but you got, yes, you took a lot of hits and gave a lot of hits, but
Well,
did you notice anything then when you were playing, or did the team doctors really notice anything, or team positions, or?
oh, well, they worked out, neurologists who diagnosed me worked out I've had over 100,000 subconcussive hits during my career. But we didn't really know what a concussion was. And I don't like using the word
Yeah,
concussion. It's a traumatic brain injury.
yeah,
And that's what we should start calling it again. A sports concussion, or a concussion, softens exactly what it is.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, we had no education on it. One thing I think I remember was, after a traumatic brain injury, do you feel sick? If you didn't feel sick, you had some sniffing salts, and you were put back on the field in training and playing. So I've learned so much over the last 2 years since my diagnosis of this issue. And I always thought that I had two big traumatic brain injuries in my career. One, I was playing for Wales against South Africa. We met Nelson Mandela before the game, and I woke up in hospital after having a fit and swallowing my tongue. But I've got no recollection of meeting Mandela, playing in that game.
mhm,
And then the second one, I knocked my two front teeth out, and woke up in the changing room, and have got no recollection, and played the following week. Um, but then, speaking to other players who I played with and against, they would say to me, "What about that one? What about this one? What about?" And I've got no memory of them. To be honest, I haven't got a much memory of my playing career. I can't
Yeah.
remember,
Really?
yeah, anything really of that time. I know that things happened. I know I played for teams. I know I played in big games, but memories of being in stadiums with the crowd and the weather, and I've got no recollection. There, how long ago? Maybe 4 years ago, I went on holiday to Lanzarote, and in my mind, I was going there for the first time,
Yeah.
uh, and was excited to go there. Took my bike and was going to do some cycling around Lanzarote, and I found out I'd been there on two previous holidays that I had no memory of.
Really?
Uh,
Oh,
so yeah, and what my neuropsychologist said, why I didn't store those as memories was my brain was so inflamed from the constant contact training and playing I was doing. Like a rugby season's 11 months long, so
wow.
you don't get much of a break,
No.
and you play every week,
Wow.
sometimes twice a week.
Wow.
Uh, so it was continuously like the Wild West in training and boys beating each other up for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Wow. So then, like you said, that was 4 years ago, and you were, and then Lanzarote sounds like it's in Italy, but I don't know.
No, Lanzarote's it's a Canary island off
Oh,
Africa, but
okay.
it's not too far a flight from the UK. It's like 4 hours, but you
Right.
get good weather there in our winter.
Yeah,
So
I used to play water polo, and I saw there was a water polo championship in Tenerife,
yes,
there in the Canary Islands.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So
So
you said that was 4 years ago, and 3 years ago, you and your wife and Judith Gates started
yeah,
this foundation.
I've got.
Was there a spark? What was the spark to that?
Could you repeat that, please?
What was
Sorry.
the spark? Why did you start? Why did you decide then that you were going to start a foundation?
Just to be able to support, because we were learning on the job. We as we were setting this charity up of what was available, what you could do, diet, exercise. Uh, um, so that's, and to keep me busy and give me some purpose.
Yeah,
Um, and it's definitely helped. Unfortunately, as you know, quite a few people who are struggling and going through this um, have have thoughts of suicide, and we've been able to intervene and get them the help that they need. Um, Unfortunately, not everybody, so we've made a difference to helping a few who've come to us for help and not in a not in a good situation.
and those are all professional. Well, all mostly professional rugby and
Yes.
soccer football players. I saw.
Um, Rugby is the side that we try
Oh,
to help.
okay. So, because I just saw you and you shared a tweet about an article which I read about the Scottish Soccer Federation banning heading between before and after games. So,
Yeah.
are there any measures like no, like there's no heading. I've seen rugby. There's just playing tough. There's, do you know what? Do you think what would you recommend rugby to get to try to
Well,
the
rugby needs to press reset and realize there's a problem. Um, and there's like the length of the season in rugby is too long to compared to the NFL, which is 4 months. Rugby is almost three times as long. So
yeah,
they need to cut down the length of the season. The amount of contact players do in training is only guidelines. In the NFL, 14 years ago, they made it mandatory that you can only do 16 sessions per season. That could be done in 6 weeks in a rugby team. So
yeah,
they need to make mandatory amounts of contact for players, because I know currently some teams use it as a punishment, and they still use it to try and toughen the boys up to get them ready to go to play in the games. baseline testing for players, where if there is a traumatic brain injury, it's not down to the player telling the doctor how they feel to when they return, because most players are gladiators and they want to be back on that field, and they don't and won't think about when they retire and the problems they could have later on. So there needs to be some device like an EEG or something like that that baselines players, and after a traumatic brain injury, they don't return to practice until they've hit that baseline, because at the moment it's finger in the air, and yeah, it's not the best way forward, unfortunately.
I know actually I've near actually in my hometown now. And because I've chatted with him, he's going to be doing. Jamie Cudmore is going to join us on the podcast as well. And I
Yeah,
know he's been talking to you. He has his issues. He was on a podcast actually on episode like 19 or 20 or something like early on. Um, but I know he has problems with in our French league, French
yes.
second tier league, and then he joined the Premier League as in France. But so you guys, are there like different tiers of leagues in Wales that you find the issues are different in different leagues across the continent or across or in Europe or England and also in within the country?
Well, I know Jamie. I've been speaking for
Yeah.
Jamie for quite a few years. Played against him a lot when I played in Europe, European competitions, and then when I played in France. Yeah, France as a league, as a country, they've got the top 14 Pro de Deux, and then there's a third tier. All three of them are very physical leagues, and most probably out of the three leagues that I played in, we did the most contact there. Potentially, when I first went professional at Newport, we did rugby had just turned professional,
When was
so
that? When was that?
they in 95 it turned professional,
95?
but I turned professional in 98.
Okay.
um, and we went from training in the evenings Tuesday and Thursday, play on Saturday, to training every day of the week. And
Wow.
their mindset was, well, if we've got you 9 till 5, we're going to train you 9 till 5. So
Yeah.
we used to do 3 hour contact sessions that, as I said previously, were like the Wild West. And that period of time of when it first went professional was crazy. You couldn't wait until Saturday, because you knew that was going to be an easier training day or an easier load on your body,
Yeah.
because the amount that you did during the week was insane.
Yeah, it does. It sounds, and I mean, this new organization charity you've started, so it's based in England and most
England and Wales.
England and Wales. And so what have you learned from Judith or from just your own research about the prevalence and the severity of brain injuries
The
in rugby?
Well, the biggest learn from me is what I've learned is, of ex players, over 50% of them are struggling in some way, shape, or form, and hadn't admitted it. And this is the big problem. The neurologist who's diagnosing the players thinks anybody who's played more than 4 years of elite rugby will have brain damage. So there's thousands of ex-players out there globally who will have brain damage, and are wondering why they can't do this, can't remember that, and their brain isn't working correctly as a normal 40, 45-year-old. What else I've learned? Every contact is causing damage, even if it's not contact to the head. Contact to the body can give you a whiplash movement, which can then internally cause small bleeds. And that's where and what we can control off the pitch Monday to Friday is where most of my damage was done in training. So the biggest thing for me to take the majority of contact out of a player's out of a player's lifespan and the contact he does in his career is done in training. So reduce that massively.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to ask you more about your own symptoms. Like, how do you feel every day? How was a day in the life of Alex? That's
Oh at the moment now I know, and have got it under control. Um, it's a lot better than before my diagnosis. I don't try to overcommit things in my diary. I'm not working at the moment, so to speak, as in a job 9 to 5. So I
yes.
don't have that pressure on me. Um, I'm exercising. I'm training for an Ironman. I'm eating very well. I don't drink alcohol. Um, and I've been away for some experimental treatment that is showing positive signs.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, at the moment things are better than previously, not knowing what was going on.
Is Dr. Gates a neurologist, or have you've seen neurologists? So,
No,
what?
Dr. Judith Gates. No, she's not a neurologist. She's a um, actually what I think education. She's a doctor in.
Okay.
She's done a PhD in business, and she's just a very smart,
Yeah.
loving woman who cares and wants to change the world.
Have you been talking to her husband much? Do you
Uh,
you
he could, unfortunately, Bill.
no?
Um,
Is that that
it, it,
stage?
I've met him when we went up to see Judith before the Spennymoor football game that had no heading in, and met Bill, but he's not the most communicative, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, that's it. The result. So, have neurologists given you any sort of timeline, or not necessarily timeline, but any sort of
No, no, not really. Just to make they said at the beginning, look, the next 10 years are really important and what you do with your life, and but after that we don't know. But as I said earlier, I'm doing everything that I can, and I've tried this experimental treatment, and it's been positive. I can't say so much about it, but hopefully, when I go back for scans, it'll show an improvement. And yeah, just take each day as it comes, and have lots of events and goals to look forward to, and keep pushing myself with training and spending as much time with family and friends.
I guess that's very important. I think the family and friends part, as well as their training for getting fit. Which obviously you had no problem doing because you were used to being a professional athlete. But when did you decide that you would? Because I know it was, I mean, anyone can just anyone can just, like, after their professional sports career is over, just kind of take it easy for a second and just and let go, just relax for a few years or whatever. But you seem to have obviously taken up a new challenge. And have you? Was there a point anyone said to you that you should really just keep fit for your brain, or is this for your health, or just your own sense of wanting to compete?
No, it's not so much competing against myself. Never gonna be a triathlon that's gonna win medals or anything like that. It's just having um not functions, organization in my diary,
Something to
day to
focus on.
day. Pardon?
Something to focus on to really,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly that. And the biggest thing that I miss from rugby is being part of something in a community.
yeah.
So I go out cycling with a group of friends, either mountain biking or road biking, and we just chat, or blokes, and chat about just nothing really.
Yeah.
Just have a bit of fun. I've got a swim coach, and we go out swimming together, and it's just things to look forward to with like-minded people who you get on with, and have a bit of fun. Like my granddad is no longer here anymore, but his wise words were, laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
And if you can laugh and you can be with people who make each other laugh, you're in a good space.
Exactly. I think I couldn't agree more. And so just this is totally different than that thing. But how's your did you stopped rugby because your shoulder and your triceps be torn? I know that's a long time ago now, but that swimming, how's that for swimming?
Well,
Swimming,
at the beginning, it was terrible because I could do front crawl,
yeah,
but I couldn't. It would ache so much after that I couldn't swim for about 10 days. So
really?
I couldn't increase the distances
No,
to get up to an Ironman distance.
yeah.
So my first two half Ironmans were breaststroke, but
So
doing
not winning him. Not,
doing the breaststroke got strength back in my shoulder, so now I'm able to do front crawl. So not fast, not pretty, but I can do front crawl and
lift your shoulder over your.
yeah, lift. It's given me the flexibility and strength to be able to do that stroke and increase the distance. But I'm not a swimmer. I'm not a runner, as in a long distance. I've got big legs, powerful legs that
Yeah.
are not meant to be in a swimming pool.
Well, it's a lot of fun though. And so what's next for Head for Change? I know obviously are you watching this World Cup and with any sort of look to the play to engaging players if you can.
Yeah, well, we've got some unbelievable events coming up, fundraising events for Head for Change. So in February, I'm cycling from Cardiff to Edinburgh for the game Scotland against Wales. That's 500 miles.
Wow.
And February in the UK is cold, so I
Yeah.
don't think the temperature will get above 3 or 4.
How long do you
Um,
think it'll take you?
it's taken us 5 days, so we're doing 100 miles a day for
Oh,
5
nice.
days.
Nice.
And then in June, I've got a half Ironman. In the start of September, I've got a full Ironman in Tenby in Wales. And then the end of September, I'm cycling from London to Lyon in France with Geraint Thomas, the Tour de France winner,
Yeah.
and 6 international rugby players. And then we're going to watch Wales, Australia in the World Cup. And then in October, I'm swimming the Channel. So I'm swimming from England to France as a relay, which again, all raising money for Head for Change.
Not doing breaststroke there.
Pardon?
Not gonna do breaststroke on that
No,
portion.
I won't do it. I won't be doing
That would
breaststroke, buddy.
take you a long time.
Well, we're doing it as a relay, so
Yeah.
I'm not doing the full event.
No.
We're going to be doing our swims at 1 hour on, 2 hours off.
So because that's about 13 miles, isn't it? Something like that.
No, it's the distance is 22 miles,
22 miles.
but with the current, you could swim up to 40.
Wow. Oh, so
Yeah.
goes out down the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. Wow. That's so how many people? Sorry, I probably missed that.
Yeah, no, there's 5 in each team. So
Okay.
in rugby, you've got rugby union, which I played,
Yeah.
and you've got rugby league. So, and it's a different type of rugby. So we've got 5 rugby union racing against 5 rugby league.
Oh,
so it's a race.
great.
Yeah. So it should be. We're having a 4-part documentary made on the event. So we're going to have 3 training weekends, showing the boys doing the swimming, getting used to the cold water, getting used to the wetsuits, and I think it's going to be good fun, and hopefully raise lots of money for Head for Change.
So finally, just I know your wife and Judith and you are involved in Every Change. So what do you guys do on a day to day? Did you feel a lot of calls from rugby players or soccer players or cyclists?
Yeah, it's more day to day for me is speaking with other players, trying to get them active and meet them for a coffee and just somebody to talk to. Planning different events and dinners and fundraisers. My wife Mel, she works full time, so she's not on Head for Change every second of every day, but we're always speaking about it and planning things and helping, and she speaks to and supports lots of partners. So usually at least one a day she will have a Zoom call with a partner and advise and help them on what to do who've just been diagnosed. And we do a lot of press and media and podcasts and things like that to get the message out of what we're doing into the media. And I know, Judith and Sally Tucker, who's the other trustee, are very busy as well.
Yeah, I saw it on your website. Sarah Tucker was just in Atlanta at a conference. So,
yes.
speaking of again the word out, how will people reach Head for Change or Alix or your wife?
So through the Head for Change website, which is www.headforchange.org.uk. And there's an info@ email address that then will get through to the right person on any questions they have, or if they would like to know more, fundraise, buy some nice merchandise, which I haven't got on at the moment, which I should.
You need underneath that jacket because it's cold.
Yeah, I'm going out for a bike ride to pick my daughter up, so I need this on.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this podcast and breaking the word about Head for Change. www.headforchange.org.uk, right?
Perfect. That's perfect.
And just search for Head for Change, and they do a great job. If you're a rugby player, if you're even like Garen Thomas is obviously a cyclist, and he's involved, and if you're a soccer player or a rugby player, and especially in Wales or England, please get in touch. And if you're having issues, please get in touch. And is there anything else you'd like to anything you want to add, or you?
No, just thank you for having me on. You're doing a great job, and
thanks.
It's all about, for me, the biggest part of all of this, and we're all contributing, is the education of this issue. And education, and that's from grassroots all the way up to elite level in any contact sport. And if in doubt, sit them out.
Exactly, these are great points. Just as even just my last podcast was big on this, having knowledge and awareness and education. So everyone who's had a brain injury, concussion or otherwise, has just really expanded on the fact that education is so important. And so I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And
no problem.
Just please follow Alix and visit the website, and if he had merch on, you would see it on the YouTube. But if you're listening, then trust me, there's merch there. So go and support Head for Change. So thank you so much, Alix.
Thank you so much. No, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Okay.